Hello everybody, it's me, Onion Creature. We have a bit of a bittersweet intro today. I thought I'd take this opportunity to get the Chibi-Robo amiibo outside of his plastic prison. This is from GameStop, back when you could get Chibi-Robo Ziplash for a mere $6.99. This is the last Chibi-Robo game ever. And I recently went back to play the original on Nintendo Classics GameCube on Switch 2, and that's what this review is going to cover. But before that, we gotta get this man out of his plastic. All right, so I have opened this box and played this godforsaken 3DS title, which is a real bit of a disaster. It's the first Chibi-Robo title I played, and it lives up to its reputation. It's extremely forgettable and bland, which is something you can't say about that original. So, Chibi-Robo, you've had it rough these years, been on a shelf encased in plastic. The only amiibo I've never opened. I don't know why I didn't open it, but here it goes. You're being set free. There you are, my friend. There he is, the boy. This is a great amiibo. Shame about the game though. Nice sheen to him. Very good plug. Yeah, this was the last Chibi-Robo game ever. That's pretty depressing to think about. Alright, let's talk about the original on GameCube. Alright there, guys. It's time for Chibi-Robo on the GameCube review. This is a game I've been wanting to play for years at this point. It's a renowned cult classic, which has been relatively inaccessible for a Nintendo game for quite some time. Released on the GameCube in 2006. And never re-released officially until now on the Nintendo Switch 2 as a part of the Nintendo Classics subscription. This is one of the major plus sides for Nintendo finally re-releasing GameCube games at a large scale. This hasn't happened before, even on systems that probably could have handled it, like the Wii U or the Switch 1. So we do get access to many of these GameCube games that have not been readily available outside of unofficial emulation, which is a shame. So I've gotten to experience a couple games that I had not previously, like F-Zero GX. Chibi-Robo, though, was one that I was really looking forward to and super pleased that it was in that initial lineup of GameCube games that were to be released. It's very expensive, if you haven't seen, and I just never really got around to playing it in any capacity until now, which is a massive shame, but that has been amended. This always looked like the kind of Nintendo game that I really enjoy, the kind of game that's more obscure but does have lots of character to it, something like Earthbound or Mother 3. So I was really glad when this was finally added to the GameCube service, and I just had to devote some time to finally playing through it. I think one of the most rewarding experiences you can have playing a game is finally getting around to a cult classic or obscure game that you hadn't been able to play before and finding it to be just as good, if not better, as its reputation. And I'm really pleased to say that that's what I found with Chibi-Robo. The only other Chibi-Robo game I have played is Ziplash on the 3DS. I got it because it was really cheap, used at GameStop, and it came with an amiibo, so I thought, hey, what's the harm? The harm is that the game itself is extremely bland and uninteresting. It's really not a great title. This was kind of the last chance for Chibi-Robo. The studio shut down after making it, and it's just very disappointing that this is how the series went out, especially now that I've gone back to play the original and found just how charming and wonderful it is. The fact that that's how it went out is pretty damn depressing. So the GameCube game itself is perhaps one of the most charming games I've ever played. Just about everything about it contributes to that fact. You are a very small little robot, and as such, the house environment feels quite big, even though it's just a standard location. And it really just works very well. It's a very fun aesthetic, and one that I like a lot. The level design is
really great overall. You go through the different rooms of the house and explore to find secrets and hidden details, which is always a good time. Chibi-Robo's energy is expended by moving and doing different tasks, so you have to plug yourself into a wall outlet anytime you're running low on power, which is a pretty fun and charming detail and does change how you approach movement in the game. There's a wide variety of wacky characters in this game, and I really enjoyed meeting them and going through their different plot lines. It was quite rewarding. And one of the hidden things you can find is, I don't know, one of the strangest and most unsettling things in a Nintendo game, perhaps. It's these rooms with a Chibi-Robo face on them, and you plug in and go in and you find coins, but it's this really frightening liminal space with this scary music and eyes blinking at you. Not entirely sure how they arrived at that design decision. The sound design is really good as well. The music's very catchy, and you get these funny, whimsical footstep sounds as you walk around the house. The story is a really good mix of funny, heartwarming, and tragic. You have the 3 different family members, each of which have their own difficulties in life, and Chibi-Robo is here to help them. The main way you progress through the game is by collecting happy points. You can get those by doing various tasks and cleaning the house, as well as assisting characters on their side quests. Chibi-Robo interacts with a lot of different toys who have come to life. Those are some pretty entertaining characters. The text scrolling speed is pretty slow, but I didn't mind it that much. Just kind of added to the game's personality, although I will admit it is pretty slow. The story had a lot of moments that really kind of hit. They were more emotional than I perhaps expected from this title. Got a little teary-eyed at a couple moments, which was very surprising. Very impressive storytelling here. It's certainly not conventional. Certain characters are a bit more edgy or mean than you would probably get in a modern Nintendo game, but I think that's fine. It goes along with the game's personality. Nothing too over the top here. There's also a news channel in the game, but it's called Vo News, spelled like this, which is, I mean, obviously it's just like a throwaway little pun. It was just weird to see what is technically a Fox News reference in a Nintendo game. That was a fairly surprising element to see. I also really love the manager character, Television. He's Chibi-Robo's manager. He's a very entertaining character. He was another standout character that I enjoyed interacting with. And it's just refreshing to play a game that's so unapologetically positive. You know, the main goal being earning happy points to make people happy. This has been a bit of a rough year for many, myself included, and it was refreshing to enjoy a piece of media that is just so optimistic and positive. Felt a bit similarly to stuff like Superman this year. Kindness is a powerful thing, and I enjoy stories, movies, and games that emphasize that point. I think that's important to remember. In terms of minor nitpicks I think some of the tasks are a little bit unclear. Most of them are doable though. You may have to use a guide once or twice though. A few of the tasks can be a bit obtuse, but it's usually manageable. And then the movement can feel a little bit sluggish at times, but not too much of a big deal. I think you get used to it and it's fine. I won't spoil too much about it, but you get some pretty unexpected elements that show up later in the story, which I don't know if I've emphasized enough just how weird many of the elements are, but yeah, it's a very weird game, but in a way that I found very effective and charming. And I gotta say, the visuals in general, the visual style employed by this game has aged so gracefully. It looks really great. Obviously, it's still a GameCube game, so it's not the most impressive on a raw graphics scale, but the art design is so strong and the execution of it is as well. So this is a game that really holds up in contemporary times. It's just a joy to look at. I can't really speak to how well it compares to the GameCube original in terms of visuals or performance, but it does look really good on Switch too. I will say that. I played with the GameCube controller for the most part, and that worked pretty exceptionally. Felt very authentic. I love the GameCube so much, one of the top Nintendo consoles, and Chibi-Robo was a pretty major blind spot for me. I loved getting to play it. This is a total recommendation from me. If you have a way of playing it on Switch 2 or otherwise, go ahead and do that. I think I am more predisposed to these obscure and strange Nintendo series, but even if you're not, I think it's still worth checking out. because it's just a very unique and wonderful game that deserves to be experienced by as many people as possible, probably. It did make me also want to check out some of the developers' other games. I know they did Captain Rainbow on Wii, which looks like a very interesting and strange as well game. And there's also a handful of other Chibi-Robo titles. I think at least one of the ones on DS is purported as being quite good, so I would like to check those out as well at some point. It is a shame what happened with this series in that it just never really found its footing before it got basically canned after Chibi-Robo Ziplash. I'm not sure we'll really ever see a new Chibi-Robo related thing. As sad as that is, it's not the worst thing in the world because we do still have this original, and now it's available on a wider scale than ever before, which is great. There are also some other Chibi-Robo related things happening in the world. The developers are doing a spiritual successor called Co-Robo, I believe. It was funded using Kickstarter and is supposed to come out sometime next year, I believe in the spring is the estimated release. We'll see if that happens, but it does look like a really faithful follow-up to Chibi-Robo, and I'm hopeful about that. I hope that turns out well. I know sometimes Kickstarter games don't have the best reputation, but that one does look like it's going to be very solid. There's also been, I think, 1 or 2 indie games taking inspiration from Chibi-Robo. I think one recently was called Misk. Might have to check that out at some point. That also looks really cool. But I think it speaks to how strong of an experience Chibi-Robo is that even almost 20 years later, people are still trying to make experiences which evoke that original. That's pretty damn cool and speaks to the game's legacy, even though it hasn't been played by that many people. A criminally underplayed title, I think, among probably Nintendo enthusiasts. It's more well known, but apart from that, I doubt much of the public is aware of Chibi-Robo. I think they should be, because it's phenomenal, and I would highly, highly recommend checking it out if you can.